And to me, and I really wasn't aware of how much it had been reported in Salon. I wasn't aware until Dana Priest had just said it, there had been a hearing.
Yeah. In 2005.
Right. So,
and nobody paid any attention to the hearing, including us.
And I can just as a journalist, there's a lot going on. Medical care, outpatient, that's kind of boring. There's a war going on. You're debating the surge. But then and this is the power of the Washington Post and the New York Times and other big papers. They put it on the front page, and then it was on the cover of Newsweek, and then it broke big. Mm-hmm. And that is actually one of the purposes of the media is to put things on the front page, and that really it demonstrates it. Because
but Gates, unless I missed something here, Bob Gates may be the first high-level federal official of any administration who said publicly when this thing first, "Thank you, press, for giving us the bad news that we didn't know about it before that." That's a new wrinkle too, is it not?
It is, and it's the perfect response, and it was a tone-deaf response. I mean, Secretary Harvey sealed his fate by promoting Kevin Kiley to that position. I mean, General Kevin Kiley, who had been the epitome of defensive crouch in dealing with this, and oh no, let's blame the messenger, and that was the antithesis of Gates's approach.
Yeah. And his statement today,
how do you explain something like that? Or is there an explanation?
Every bureaucracy I've ever known goes to do a defensive crouch when attacks, and they always have some argument to make, some body of evidence to say, well, there was this, there was that, we're not doing so badly here, and so they cling to that. It's human nature, but the exception is not that they do that, but that you have a leader who doesn't. Mm-hmm. And what Gates said about the initial press conference, and then just today, that when he said that I'm disappointed that some in the Army don't recognize the gravity, you can just imagine the reverberations through the Pentagon, because the head of any agency is usually captured by the agency, and he's not being right now.
What about the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Jim Nicholson? How is he faring in this so far?
Well, I mean, he ought not to make any more public appearances. I mean, that statement he made to Judy that they're in for dental work. I mean, just has resonated all around town. Mm-hmm. It's echoed to the point. In fairness to Jim Nicholson, Walter Reed is an Army installation. It's not a veterans
administration. We're talking about separate things.
That's right.
But it's the same. It's the same war. The same
war, and the failure to provide the kind of care and prepare for it, in spite of the budget increases that have been mentioned, the dimensions of this, and to play down the seriousness of it. I mean, to say that there were several hundred brain injuries and wounds rather than the thousands of post-traumatic disorders that people have suffered and are now living with. I mean, the story of a soldier paralyzed in a wheelchair, having to go a half a mile to get his medicines, and it's incredible.
David, what did you think of what Dana Priest said, that also we do now have divided government, and that there is tension and oversight that wasn't there before, and that it is playing a part in this? Do you think?
It will, and it certainly will next week. But to me, I really think the media was the key.
The key.
Because once it was on the front page of the Washington Post, then it exploded. And the Democrats subsequently said things, but they didn't have to. It exploded because of the Washington Post.
I will say this, that in talking to people on the Hill, among people who have been longtime supporters of the military and defenders of the military in the Congress, there's a sense of fury and betrayal at the treatment of the troops. I mean, that they blame themselves in many cases for not being aware of, but they're absolutely furious that this has taken place. So this is, sure, the cameras are there, the microphones are there, there's going to be hearings, but this has I think, legs and an intensity that is going to carry it for a long time.
By the way, one area I'd like to see it, I think the numbers, the dollars that are paid in compensation are insanely small to these people. When you look at the number and you look at a middle-class lifestyle, it's just pathetic. And I hope in some of the hearings people address that issue as well.
Is that going to be an issue? Should it be? You agree it should be an issue?
I do agree it's be an issue. But I mean, listen. I mean, you saw the poor guy from South Carolina, for goodness sakes, whose wife had to quit her job and come up here and take care of him essentially in a custodial stay for 18 months. They denied him anything. Said, no, you were retarded before you came into the military.
Yeah, and then remember the guy in Bob Woodruff's piece on ABC the young soldier went home to Texas.
Yes.
And was worse off because he couldn't be treated because the VA didn't have a way to treat him at a facility that was close to his
Jim,
house.
David has praised, and rightly so, the Washington Post for doing it. But Bob Woodruff of ABC, on that special he did the other night, deserves the highest praise because it was the first 20 or 25 minutes about him and his own experience and his own family. He's devoted the last 35 minutes of that show to the treatment of the soldiers. I mean, it was not about him, and I give him great credit for that.
Yeah, and you have the feeling he's going to continue this part of the story.
Absolutely.
Forever. Yeah. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.